Thanks for joining us for CBN News Today. I'm Charlene Aaron.
And I'm Ephraim Graham. No one saw it coming. Washington is stunned Tuesday as House Majority Leader Eric Cantor lost his primary bid against a Tea Party favorite. Gary Lane has more on this shocking political development.
Shockwaves over an unexpected upset victory. Everyone expected the second most powerful man in the U.S. House of Representatives to easily win his re-election bid in Virginia's Republican Party primary. After all, Eric Cantor had outspent his opponent more than 20-1. But when all the votes were counted, Tea Party-backed candidate David Brat came out on top.
The reason we won this campaign is there's just one reason, and that's because dollars do not vote. You do.
I know there's a lot of long faces here tonight, and it's disappointing, sure.
Why did it happen? And how will the Republican Party react? In his concession speech Tuesday night, Cantor described himself as a conservative.
We need to focus our efforts as conservatives, as Republicans, on putting forth our conservative solutions so that they can help solve the problems for so many working middle-class families.
But Virginia voters didn't buy it. Tea Party members and other conservatives viewed Cantor as the ultimate insider, close to Wall Street, an establishment Republican. And Brat, an economics professor from Randolph-Macon College in Ashland, Virginia, capitalized on conservative dissatisfaction with Cantor and ran his race as an anti-establishment candidate.
The basic premise is power belongs to the people, and that's what we're going to do.
While this is a shocking upset and amazing comeback victory for the Tea Party, unclear at this time is the impact it will have on the Republican Party and congressional campaigns this fall. Will party leaders advance a conservative agenda in the fall campaign or present themselves as moderates in hopes of defeating Democrats? Two main issues dominated Brat's winning campaign against Cantor: overspending, the massive budget deficit, and immigration reform. Brat accused the House Majority Leader of wanting to give citizenship papers to illegal immigrants. And one of the most prominent Republicans in the U.S. Senate, Lindsey Graham, handily won his primary bid in South Carolina Tuesday. Graham avoided a runoff by gaining 59% of the vote. Tea Party members also said Graham was not a true conservative, especially on immigration. Graham had made that a top campaign issue. He was also critical of President Obama's foreign policy.
One thing I learned tonight is that we're not a bunch of isolationists in South Carolina. We believe in peace through strength, and when it comes to radical Islam, we're going to fight you over there so you don't come here.
Gary Lane, CBN News.
The IRS Tea Party scandal is getting worse. The latest revelation of abuse is word the IRS gave the FBI more than 1 million pages of tax documents without a court order back in October of 2010. This revelation comes in a letter to the IRS commissioner from Congressman Darrell Issa and Jim Jordan. The letter indicates the massive data dump included public returns from nonprofit groups and taxpayer information the law requires the IRS to keep confidential. The data came from IRS administrators Lois Lerner and Sarah Hall, who are both implicated in this latest scandal for working with the FBI to charge the groups with conspiracy to violate U.S. laws.
Defense Secretary Chuck Hagel faces lawmakers today testifying about the controversial prisoner swap with the Taliban. The House Armed Services Committee is investigating the deal that released Sergeant Bo Bergdahl in exchange for 5 terrorist leaders. Some questions will focus on whether Bergdahl deserted and whether the U.S. gave up too much to secure his freedom. Members from both political parties have criticized the Obama administration for not telling Congress ahead of time about the swap.
A soldier from Illinois and a soldier from Ohio are among the 5 Americans who died in a friendly fire incident in Afghanistan Tuesday. Special Operation Forces on patrol with Afghan troops in a southern province near Pakistan were ambushed by the Taliban. Under heavy fire, the team called for U.S. air support, but a miscommunication led to the bomb landing too close and killing the Americans and 1 Afghan soldier. It is the worst friendly fire accident in the 14-year Afghan war and comes just days after President Obama announced a phased drawdown of U.S. troops there.
Thousands of Christian families are fleeing the city of Mosul after Islamic militants took control of the city Tuesday. The jihadist group, which calls itself the Islamic State of Iraq and Levant, is known for its ruthless treatment of Christians. Meanwhile, the Iraqi government is struggling to cope with this major defeat. Heather Sells has the story.
Iraqi government forces in Mosul have been fighting al-Qaeda insurgents for years, dating back to the Iraqi war. But now Islamic militants have overrun much of this city, and the security forces have collapsed.
They abandoned their arms, ammunition, and armored vehicles and their positions, leaving them behind to terrorists. They even left Mosul airport and some planes.
Mosul is a strategic prize for these insurgents who have been advancing in Syria as well as Iraq. Experts believe they plan to set up a military enclave straddling the border between the two countries. The assault in Mosul also shows just how Iraq has changed since American forces left 3 years ago. The depth of the blow can be seen in the latest move by the country's prime minister, who is now calling for a state of emergency, hoping that the greater powers will allow him to run the country for now.
We have to declare a comprehensive mobilization and the utmost alert in political, financial, and popular capabilities to defeat terrorism and bring life to normal in all areas occupied by terrorists.
On Sunday, car bombs exploded across the Iraqi capital, killing 4 and underscoring the sectarian violence that threatens the country's stability. Regaining Mosul remains a daunting challenge. A Sunni Muslim majority live here, many of whom are deeply embittered against al-Maliki, a Shiite, and his government. Heather Sells, CBN News.
Here at home, anti-religious zealots are protesting public funding for a Bible-themed park planned for Sioux City, Iowa. The city issued a $140,000 grant to build greenways at the park. The money will not fund any religious displays. The Freedom from Religion Foundation says the city should not be giving any money to a park with Christian themes. The group sent a letter demanding the grant be revoked. The Shepherd's Garden will include a walk of faith and several places for prayer. Supporters say it's inspired by a concern over the, quote, retreat of Christianity from the public square.
The Southern Baptist Convention has a new president today. Arkansas megachurch pastor Ronnie Floyd will lead the nation's largest Protestant denomination. The SBC is holding its annual convention in Baltimore this year. Before the meeting, a panel of leaders gathered to discuss religious liberty in the U.S. Rick Warren and Samuel Rodriguez joined Russell Moore, the head of the SBC's Ethics and Religious Liberties Commission. The topic, Hobby Lobby's fight against the Obama administration's contraception mandate in its health care law. Moore and Warren predicted Hobby Lobby would win their upcoming Supreme Court case, but Moore also said, quote, if we lose this case, the gospel is not lost. If the United States of America crumbles away, the gospel is not lost. The U.S. Supreme Court is expected to announce its ruling by the end of the month.
Well, as you just heard, the contraception mandate in Obamacare has united religious groups across America. As Jennifer Wishon explains, they're fighting back against what they see as government coercion.
The raping of the soul. That's how one Christian leader describes what many see as the attack on the right of conscience and religious liberty in America.
There is a widespread feeling that something unusual is happening with regard to religious liberty in our country.
Some say it's the culmination of a decades-long process designed to eliminate religious people who don't subscribe to a liberal worldview. The breaking point appears to have come when the Obama administration announced all groups that provide health insurance must include coverage for birth control, the morning after pill, and sterilization, even organizations with religious objections. A number of Catholic and evangelical organizations have sued the administration.
Now we have an administration saying if you want to go out in the public square and help the poor or feed the hungry or cure the sick, you have to leave your religious beliefs. You have to check them at the door.
Christians, Jews, Muslims, Mormons, and other religious groups are joining forces to stop the trespasses against their freedoms.
I think it's happening because all the different religious communities recognize that a threat to one is a threat to all.
Professor George says Christians and other believers are facing animosity from secularists for standing for their religious beliefs in the public square, and he calls it an abuse to apply anti-discrimination laws to biblical views on sexual morality and traditional marriage.
That's an odd thing, since the very people who now condemn so many evangelical Christians and faithful Catholics for speaking publicly about their faith and acting on their faith in the public square would be the first to praise Dr. Martin Luther King and other civil rights leaders who were people of faith who, acting on their religiously inspired convictions, went out into the public square and advocated for justice.
So what's the solution? They say to fight back. The goal is to organize religious freedom caucuses in all 50 state legislatures and to help lawmakers draft legislation that protects the right of conscience. Jennifer Wishon, CBN News, Washington.
CBN's Operation Blessing is in the northeast Nigeria, bringing aid to school kids facing danger from Boko Haram and other Islamists. The ministry's David Darg was able to visit the boarding school with a heavily armed security detail. The school is located in Mumbai, where a Boko Haram suicide bomber killed over 40 people just last week. The school was closed after Boko Haram captured almost 300 other schoolgirls in the region. It reopened this week, and Operation Blessing is now providing food, computers, and razor wire for extra security. OB will also be helping to bring them with bigger projects like a well and improvements to their dorms over the next few weeks.
Coming up, headed to college, we'll tell you how to avoid tuition sticker shock and leave with an education and without debt. Stay with us.
Pat Boone here with a word about bank safety. Do you think your money is safe in the bank? Don't bank on it. A generation ago, bank accounts felt secure and they paid interest. This encouraged the virtue of thrift and saving. But today, bank accounts pay virtually nothing, and they've shifted from low risk to high risk. For example, did you know your money deposited in most U.S. banks could be subject to limited withdrawal and even confiscation? Oh, yes. And that's just the first of 19 risks explained in a new white paper entitled Don't Bank on It. You still think your bank deposits are safe? You better get this vital new Don't Bank on It white paper now. Call the number on the screen or visit SwissAmerica.com, the gold standard. Learn how simple it is to become your own banker today.
Millions of Americans with an ostomy live their lives to the fullest every day. And over the last 10 years, thousands have chosen Liberator Medical as their caring and reliable resource for ostomy supplies. Liberator Medical is a nationally accredited Medicare, Medicaid, and insurance provider, so we can handle all your Medicare, Medicaid, and insurance paperwork and billing. And Liberator Medical has been chosen as a preferred supplier by all the leading ostomy manufacturers, including Coloplast, Hollister, Convatec, and Generics. We supply all these leading ostomy brands, so you can always get the ostomy supplies and accessories you want and trust. And all of our ostomy care specialists are product certified by the manufacturers. Shipping is free and discreetly delivered right to your door. Unhappy with your present ostomy supplier? Call Liberator Medical and ask about our free ostomy sampling program. We also offer catheters and urological supplies.
Call 1-800-513-3076. That's 1-800-513-3076.
You've heard the phrase sticker shock. If you're going to be paying for college this year, get ready for major sticker shock.
The president pointed to that sticker shock this week when he announced a new measure to help student loan borrowers make their payments. But I had the chance to meet students who are working hard to avoid going into any debt to pay for their education.
It was very stressful to start.
Christopher Wells is a man on a mission. Earn a degree debt-free.
My first year, my mother had to take money out of the 401k plan. We had a deal, and she said that she would pay the first year at school, but every year after that, I would have to pay for it myself or figure out a way to pay it.
How does he do it? The 20-year-old works summers instead of chilling out. This year, Wells spends 40 hours a week as an intern and waits tables on the weekends. He also lives at home and commutes to class.
I had the opportunity to live on campus, but I could have taken out a loan, but I just chose not to. And that was one of the biggest decisions for me.
And while it hasn't been easy, this honors student is on track to graduate next year with no student loan debt. Many of his classmates won't be able to enjoy the same freedom.
Some of them are, but a lot of them aren't. They just, they're on campus, their parents pay for their tuition, they're kind of just going with the motion, and that's just not me.
The latest figures show student debt in America has climbed to $1 trillion. The average balance, about $23,000. However, some college graduates are looking at more than $100,000 in the red. That debt is even tougher to pay back in today's economy, where most college graduates can't find a job.
So many times I meet people who've got $100,000 spent to get a PhD in, German polka history or something. Oh my gosh, where are they going to get this money back?
Financial expert Dave Ramsey says students must change their thinking when it comes to college.
We've got to break the mindset that in order to be a student, you have to have a student loan. Instead, let's go back to the old-fashioned way of paying for it. And you actually can do that. It's difficult, but you can do it. It's called work.
That work actually begins years before even applying for college. Step 1, choose a school you can actually afford, perhaps a community college to get started. Then, look for free money in the form of grants and scholarships.
You've got to apply for scholarships. There's lots of them out there. You've got to take classes on how to take your SAT and ACT so that your scores come up, which qualifies you for more scholarships. And then you get grants. I grant you the right to work while you're in school. WORK has not killed anybody.
And when they make it to campus, watch out for those lifestyle extras like pizzas and parties.
An interesting thing I was reading in state schools the other day is the average college student graduating this last year had $27,900 in student loan debt. And the interesting thing is that's about what they spent over 4 years to live off campus in an apartment, to eat out, to attend social functions associated with college. And so really those dollars that drove them into debt were not education dollars, they were lifestyle dollars.
A lesson Christopher Wells has already mastered.
My mother always said to me, if you ain't got it, don't get it. So if I don't have it, I'm not gonna get it. If I don't have the cash for it, then I'm not gonna buy it.
Wells doesn't carry a credit card or even a car loan. He still drives his 2001 Chevy his parents gave him back in high school.
Life is not all about partying or going out with your friends and stuff. Like, if you want to be successful in life, you have to work, you got to save your money, you have to budget. It's very essential.
And some good news is Wells is now a college graduate, and he is indeed debt-free.
Coming up, a rancher who's suddenly told by the government that he doesn't own his own land. You'll be stunned at how far the government wants to go when we come back.
Attention sleep apnea patients. Are you tired of the expense and hassle of getting your CPAP and BiPAP supplies? Are you fed up with dealing with ill-fitting, leaking, or worn-out masks and straps? Are you worried about the effects that unsanitary tubes, cushions, and filters have on your health? If you said yes to any of these questions, Allied Medical Supply Network has the solution to your problems. You could qualify to have your supplies regularly delivered right to your door at little or no cost to you. That's right, no more inconvenience, no worn-out masks and straps, no more unsanitary equipment, just restful sleep. Call Allied Medical Supply Network today to determine if you may qualify to receive your fresh, brand-name supplies at little or no cost. Don't delay. Call us now to see if you are eligible to save money on regular delivery of your CPAP and BiPAP supplies. Call 1-800-815-9947. That's 1-800-815-9947. Or go to cpapsupplyhelpline.com.
Announcing an important breakthrough in healthcare that can benefit everyone. If you or anyone you love needs affordable health insurance, regardless of a pre-existing medical condition, call Quick Insurance 123 today and get the immediate relief you deserve. Quick Insurance 123 was created to provide affordable health insurance to all uninsured Americans, with or without pre-existing conditions. This is not a discount card. This is a real insurance program that lets you choose from many affordable health plans, with access to doctors, hospitals, emergency services, and more. So call the number on your screen now and get the health coverage you need just for calling. As a special bonus, we'll send you a free prescription savings card that could save you up to 85% on your prescriptions. That's right, you could save up to 85% on your prescriptions just for calling. Call Quick Insurance 123 to find out how you can get affordable health insurance and receive your free prescription savings card just for calling. Don't wait. Getting a free quote is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Call today.
What would you do if the government just decided that it wanted to take your land and not give you a penny for it?
Well, that's what happened to one Texas rancher, and as Chuck Holton reports, the government wants to do it again.
The March dust-up between Nevada rancher Cliven Bundy and the Bureau of Land Management raised eyebrows among many Americans who feel the federal government exercises too much control. In Texas, another fight has been raging between ranchers and the BLM for decades.
Ever since 1803, there's been some dispute over the actual boundary line between Oklahoma and Texas here along the Red River. Years ago, the courts decided that it was the vegetation line here on the south side. And as the river has moved over time, it's caused a problem because Oklahoma says whenever the river moves south, Oklahoma picks up more land. But when it moves back north, the property boundary stays where it is. Obviously, Texas disagrees, especially the ranchers who own land along the border.
BLM has definitely had a change of personality in the last 30 years.
Texas rancher Tommy Henderson's family has raised cattle and cotton along the Red River for over 100 years. He bought this land from his aunt 30 years ago and did so with a loan from the Federal Housing Administration.
So they blessed the property. They inspected the property. A different government agency inspected the property, said it was fine, the deed was good, the title was good. But then just 5 years later, I lost it in a court of law, and I still had to pay for the property. I still had to pay back the lending institution because if I didn't, they'd come get everything else.
Using Oklahoma's self-serving definitions of erosion, the U.S. federal government decided Henderson never actually owned 140 acres bordering the river.
This is the boundary marker between Texas and Oklahoma, or the southern edge of the BLM property is here. The Red River's 1.25 miles to the north of us. They took 140 acres out of 386, took a little over a third of this property.
On top of that, he had to continue paying the mortgage.
Matter of fact, I just finished making my last payment on it, on this farm, in January of this year.
The Bureau of Land Management asserts on its website the BLM is categorically not expanding federal holdings along the Red River. What it is doing is revisiting the Henderson ruling and calling for new boundary surveys of public lands along the river. The result could give the feds back control of up to 90,000 acres of private land.
So it's clearly a land grab. We don't understand why the BLM is engaged in trying to take this property away.
Gene Hall of the Texas Farm Bureau says the border dispute with Oklahoma isn't the worst example of government overreach. The EPA is also attempting to redefine existing law.
This is part of a disturbing pattern. The federal government seems to want to take control of every mud hole in America, every ditch near an agricultural field, standing water, even land that is not even wet most of the time.
The Clean Water Act covers the waters of the United States. A 2006 Supreme Court ruling set the definition as permanent streams, lakes, and tributaries that directly affect navigable waters. But now the EPA is proposing to modify that definition to include nearly anything that is or gets wet.
But the permitting of that will be outrageously expensive. Farmers and ranchers will have to deal with it. We think that they are out to regulate every foot of ground in America that water even touches at various times of the year. No one is interested in fouling the water and the air and the land where they live. Bear in mind, they live out there. They drink the water from wells in most cases. Farmers and ranchers are not the problem when it comes to clean water and shouldn't have to carry the burden of a punitive regulatory process.
Sid Miller raises horses and owns a nursery in Stephenville, Texas. Now he's running for state agricultural commissioner.
You know, I'm a true environmentalist. I'm a steward of the land. If I don't take care of the land, it doesn't take care of my family. So I'm very conscious about that. And the Supreme Court said the EPA has jurisdiction only over waters in rivers, lakes, streams, and oceans. And they're just subverting Congress, subverting the Supreme Court, the Constitution, and by rule, in-house rule, they're attempting to change that and lay claim to anywhere it actually hits a navigable waterway. It could be a dry ditch, an arroyo, or a cow trail, or anything.
And Miller claims the government threatens Texas farmers more than the record-breaking drought that's hit this area the last 5 years.
The greatest threat to the American farmers and ranchers is not the drought or high feed prices or high fertilizer prices or the cost of diesel. It's actually an overreaching federal government. There's 45% of the land west of the Mississippi is owned by the federal government. If you want to stimulate the economy and get this country growing again, put that in the hands of the private individual. We'll make it productive. We're better stewards of the land than the government is.
From the Red River Valley, I'm Chuck Holton for CBN News.
Do you have an idea for a new product or invention? Hi, I'm George Foreman. People ask me all the time, George, how do I get my idea in front of companies? How do I get a patent? What do I do next? Do you have the same questions? I'll tell you like I'll tell them all. Call my friends at InventHelp.
InventHelp has been helping inventors for more than 30 years and has sales offices nationwide. InventHelp can provide patent referrals and submit your invention to companies who are interested in receiving new ideas. If you have an idea and want to try to patent it and submit it to companies, you should call InventHelp today for free information.
Listen, I can't guarantee a company will be interested in your idea, but I believe every inventor deserves the opportunity to step into the ring and take their best shot. Put InventHelp in your corner.
For your free inventors information, call 1-800-461-9290. That's 1-800-461-9290.
If you had a choice between going bald and a full head of hair, which would you choose? Advances in medical science have resulted in the world's first and only permanent solution to hair loss.
Yes!
You wash it, you cut it. It's your own real, naturally growing hair. When it comes to hair restoration, no one in the world has more experience than Bosley. The results look completely natural and are affordable on nearly any budget. But the entire process can't be explained in 60 brief seconds. So to find out more about this clinically proven and permanent solution to hair loss, call now to receive your free no-obligation information kit. It'll answer all of your questions about hair loss and hair restoration. Plus, we'll also send you this $250 gift certificate just for calling. Every day you wait, you're losing more hair. So don't put it off any longer. You owe it to yourself to find out the facts. Choose hair. Choose Bosley.
Call 800-868-9957. That's 800-868-9957.
Finally, it's graduation season for most schools across the country, and one California teen did something many would not think is possible.
Zach Pickett walked across the stage to get his diploma. Pickett was a star water polo player and swimmer, but 22 months ago, he was paralyzed in a diving accident. Since then, he's been learning to walk again with one goal, graduating just like the rest of his class.
Zach is that inspiration for everybody.
This is not about Zach. This is about his water polo team, his coaches, his friends, and this community. That's what this is all about.
It's definitely very nice to have that done and just show that I've come so far thanks to everyone here.
He has served as inspiration for many at his school. He was even his senior class president. Oh, so beautiful to see.
What a miracle and a blessing to see that.
Bless him,
Amen.
bless him.
Well, that's it for now on CBN News Today. You can find more of our exclusive coverage of the issues you care most about at cbnnews.com.
Tell us what you think about the stories you've seen here today. You can do it on Facebook or at CBN News on Twitter. Make it a wonderful Wednesday, everybody.
Inside every child is a hero, a leader, a friend to others, someone who helps out, who does the right thing, who dreams of what they can be, but they still need our help.
What should I do? What should I say? How should I feel?
That's where Superbook comes in. It provides moral and spiritual truths through situations children can relate to, teaching God's Word to the children you love. Join the Superbook DVD Club and receive Superbook's newest episodes as they're available, plus 2 copies to share with others, all for your gift of only $25. Get Superbook today and watch the miracles happen.
Every day, people are connecting on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Now you can be part of the conversation and connect on topics you care about through 700 Club Interactive. Log on to Facebook, Twitter, or go to YouTube and share your opinions, your prayer requests, and your videos while making friends in our community.
Well, welcome to the show.
Join the conversation on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. 700 Club Interactive. Be a part of the show.